please unmute. Welcome to Samsung Next Meets. My guest today is Evgenia, partner at Dawn Capital. Evgenia, thanks for joining me today. Could you give us a quick introduction to your fund and your role there?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me, Iskander. My name is Evgenia Plotnikova. I'm a partner at Dawn Capital. Dawn Capital is an early stage venture fund focusing on B2B software across Europe and Israel.
Evgenia, you're one of Europe's youngest ever female VC partners. Did you always want to work in venture capital?
Absolutely not. I wanted to be an artist, funnily enough. I came to venture having spent multiple years in financial services industries. I was a private equity investor, and I very quickly realized that technology was no longer an industry in itself, but it was disrupting every other business I was touching. So rather than get myself disrupted, I decided to move on to the earlier side of investing and leave the disruption from within.
I like that. Evgenia, tell us more about your immigration background, please.
Sure. I come from a place named Taganrog. I'd like to understand how many people even know where that is. It's a very small city in the south west of Russia. It's close to Azov Sea, very close to Ukraine. I doubt very many people know it. I left the country when I was 14 and I moved to France. I lived in France and the US before settling here in the UK, and it was certainly a very interesting journey for me.
How much do you identify with your Russian roots? Would you say it plays a big role in your life, and if yes, how?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's an interesting question. When people ask me where I'm from, I say it's complicated, or I say I'm a Londoner, and then judging by the conversation, decide how much I want to delve into it. I would say, I'd say I feel somewhere in between. I feel partially Russian. There are certain values that I strongly identify with, certain cultural elements that are true to where I was born. In some ways, I consider myself French. I have a passport. I was naturalized there. I spent 10 years of my life in France. And so in certain areas, I'm also very French. And I spent my formative years back in France, as a young teenager arriving there, not speaking French. I can tell you that it was quite an experience. And look, today I feel like a Londoner. So I'd say it's somewhere in between. I draw certain values from all of those cultures.
And do you think coming from an immigration background helped or hindered your career progression? Did you face any challenges relating to it?
Yeah, no, both, genuinely both. Look, on the one hand side, and I should mention, it's not that just I'm an immigrant. I come from a very modest family. My dad was a factory worker. My mom was a waitress. Bar my paternal grandma, I'm the only person with a university degree in my family. And so, when I was starting out, I had no idea what I was doing. And my family wanted to be supportive, but they've never lived through the challenges that I was facing of, the corporate world or climbing the career ladder. And so, it was tough. It's tough to get that first internship, that first job. Hell, it's tough to get your first degree. When you need to be the scholarship person. So yes, that was hard. But look, on the other hand, I couldn't have asked for anything else. I think being an immigrant, you're very quickly taught what it's like to persevere, what it's like to also be patient, what it's like to be agile and quick on your feet. You get street smarts very early on, and so I'm delighted that those were the qualities I could acquire coming from my background.
Was there a person in your life that, like a mentor, that changed the path of your career or life?
I'm incredibly close to my mother, who I adore, who sacrificed a lot coming to France. My father passed away. My mom put her life to my education and everything. So I'd say she's the number one. That being said, I've also been incredibly lucky to work with some phenomenal individuals throughout my career. You know, back at my bank, Danielle and Barry were there for me. You know, at TPG, I worked closely, even with David Bonderman. I had a project with him, but also Abel and Jakob there, and all the way to my current day. You know, my three partners, Josh, Håkan, and Norman, have been of huge support. You know, they have 20 years of venture experience behind them, and I'm incredibly lucky to have worked with all those people who helped and mentored me through the way.
And following up on that, how much do you think mentoring can play a role in aiding young VCs and founders?
A huge role. I think it's an apprenticeship job where to get a certain degree of pattern recognition, but also have the freshness of your thoughts and the agility to move on from a certain preset ideas and, you know, break things and look at new business models and new sectors. That requires experience. And so observing what others have done, learning from their experiences, people who live through multiple cycles is, I think, critical. But also for me as a woman in this industry, you know, navigating the balance between being a great investor and reflecting who I want to be without sort of the gender boxes, I think mentorship is critical.
Evgenia, as a female VC with an immigration background, you have,
Yes.
of course, a unique perspective. Can you give us your thoughts on why there's such a lack of diversity in tech and venture capital? How can we implement real impactful changes that result in more women, in more people with immigration backgrounds, in general, in more people with diverse backgrounds in the tech and VC scene?
Sure. It's a topic that frustrates me. And I'm very proud of us. I'm proud of Dawn. If you look at Dawn as a firm, actually half of the investment team is female. We have a huge diversity across socioeconomic backgrounds, where we come from, of race, of you know, we tick a lot of boxes there. And I think, you know, rather than trying to, you know, publish ambitious goals or statistics, whatever, which is all very necessary, what we did is we just started doing, right? And I think it's fantastic to talk about stuff because it raises awareness, but you kind of need to do that step from talking to actually implementing. And so what we've done is we made sure that the pipeline of the candidates we hire is extremely diverse. Now, we would never hire a person because they tick a certain box. We hired the best person for the job. And, you know, I feel very strongly when people want me to participate somewhere as a woman that I want me to be there because I'm a great investor, you know, an awesome board member and a woman, rather than the other way around. And so we focus on best possible candidates, but we force diversity in the pipeline. And I think that's sort of what is an important step. And then ultimately having the right policies in place to retain diverse individuals and help them along their journey. Because the drop off from an entry level position in any industry versus the very top, I think that's the big issue.
Evgenia, last question. What advice would you give to young people from immigration backgrounds who are looking to found their own companies or just make a career in tech?
Oof, tough one. Persevere. Do not give up. Do not let anyone tell you that you can't do something. The amount of people who told me that I wasn't worthy or I couldn't get somewhere is very numerous, and sometimes I'm like, oh well, you know, there you are. And number two is look, ultimately it's going to be about people, and so you'd be surprised how many people are receptive to get a virtual coffee, to go for a walk, to meet each other. And, you know, your network and the relationships you build is monumental for your future success, whatever industry you are. And so invest in those relationships, cherish them, don't make them transactional. Try and connect with people. I think sort of that has always been very helpful to me.
That was very helpful, Evgenia. Thanks a lot.
You're most welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Bye bye.
Bye.